Reignite your intuition to show to grow your intuitive self. In this episode, I'm interviewing Selina Man Karlson. Selina was already a guest earlier this year, and I thought her changes and her growth and all the things that makes it so impressive what she's done have to be in my podcast again. My name is Angela and I'm your host of the show and a highly intuitive person by birth who never lost her connection. I'm the expert in supporting you regaining your intuition and living a fulfilled and much easier life with it. Trusting fully your intuition takes time and is a very individual process, which is something that Selina knows about as well. I share with you my knowledge and strategies, but today Selina shares with you her knowledge and strategies. By signing up to my freebie, you can support yourself to connect with your intuition. Go to angelahack.com, podcast English, and you find the link there to connect with me or as well, of course, with Selina. Enjoy the interview. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. Today, I'm having a guest that I already had once this year, and you might be curious why she is again in my podcast. And she'll let you know by herself pretty soon. But first of all, welcome, Selina. Welcome back. Great to have you here again.
Thank you, Angela. Great to be back again.
I actually invited Selina because she made major changes this year. But before I start her asking all the questions I have in my mind to find out what's going on, may you please quickly introduce yourself to those who have missed the first interview with you so they know who Selina is?
Sure. I'm Selina Man Karlson, and I help entrepreneurs overcome procrastination. I use rapid transformational therapy where the underlying is hypnotherapy. And I came on Angela's podcast earlier on in the year because I had two businesses. I had my Business Curious courses where I helped people discover new skills, hobbies, and passions. And I had started my business as well. And I found that things change quickly, and I made a decision, and now that the summer is over, I have said goodbye to Curious courses. It was a very big decision. I can talk about that later as well. But now I focus purely on helping people overcome procrastination.
Whoa, so you already gave a sneak peek in what's going on. So let's stick to the actual topic right now. So for people to come over procrastination, please explain a little bit what you do and how you do it. And for those who are not native English speakers, you might even explain the word procrastination, because I found out that's something not so many not native English speakers know that well.
Yeah, it was interesting. I live in Switzerland, and when I was speaking to German speakers, they're like, what's procrastination? And it's funny because maybe German-speaking people don't procrastinate, therefore there's not a word for this. But procrastination is where you put off things. You say, I'll do that later, or you just put it off and put it off and put it off, and before you know it, the deadline's up and you're in a mad panic and you need to get something done. So procrastination is avoiding something, basically. And yeah, we avoid things for a number of different reasons. I work with entrepreneurs, and there's many places that people can actually procrastinate. They can procrastinate with picking up the phone, going on Facebook, contacting a client, writing a report, writing a web page, all sorts of different things. And it's generally because there's something that's holding them back. Now, I work with rapid transformational therapy, and it's a wonderful technique developed by Marissa Peer, who's considered one of the UK's best therapists. And over the last few years, she's been training therapists to use her technique. And it's amazing because it goes to the root and the cause of why you're experiencing something. So let's take an example. Let's say you're afraid of putting yourself on Facebook. And the fear is, I don't know what people will think, what people will say, how people are going to react, what my family is going to say, and I'm afraid of criticism, and I'm afraid of people trolling me. All sorts of fears kind of come up. Now, when I work with people, what I do is I guide them back using hypnotherapy to the root and the cause of why they're feeling this fear. So what is actually going on? And normally they go back into childhood. Our subconscious mind is built up between the ages of 0 to 7, and we may have influences later on in life, but a lot of it's built up then. So we may go back to a period of time where something happened. Let's say a parent said, "Oh, don't do that because you're not good at that." And as a 5-year-old, you might have taken that to heart, something that's really serious for you, and you think, "Wow, I can't do that because I'm not good enough." And then I guide them back to a few more scenes, and usually there's a red thread that goes through, and we can find out why this person is having trouble putting themselves out there, why they're having trouble being visible, why they're afraid of being seen and heard. And it normally goes back to a few key experiences. It may have been that they may have been bullied, or it may have just been a flippant comment by a teacher or a peer. It can be anything. And often we don't even know what's kind of going on. So by going back using hypnotherapy, your subconscious mind gives you the scenes. And by knowing this, you can actually start letting them go, because you know that you're not a 5-year-old anymore. So you can say, "Hey, forget this. I'm an adult. I can choose my beliefs." Now, the wonderful thing about what we do is that we create a personalized audio recording for you. And that allows the new beliefs to be programmed into the mind. So imagine you've been saying, "I'm scared of being seen" for many, many years. You need the time to reprogram it for a new belief that says, "It's safe to be seen. It's great to be seen. For my business, I want to be seen." So that's kind of how I work. What do you say, Angela?
I'm like, yay! Hopefully everybody listens very carefully, because in my work, I see the same, that sometimes it's one sentence that can block things out. I go myself to someone who does hypnosis. Unfortunately, as Swiss German is my mother language, I prefer someone with Swiss German because I feel more comfortable, to be honest. I think that's natural. It's my mother tongue. So I had a very interesting moment this summer. I had a reactivation of a very, very old habit. And instead of acting, I started to find a kind of a solution to, it was actually procrastination, to be honest. I was really procrastinating it, putting it out. And then I went to that person and she could help me. It took me 2 hours. And I had a few weeks later, a similar situation. I reacted totally different. So I really love what you do. I really, really appreciate that you do that, because I think it is a lie that we have to suffer to grow. It is a lie that we have to dig into mud and ugly things to change things. So I really love what you do. And honestly, I'm super happy that you changed towards that one, because in my eyes, the world needs you.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I really love what I do as well. I'm able to help people on a deeper level. And one of the reasons why I decided to stop Curious Courses was I've been doing it for 8 years, and I felt in some ways touching the surface with people, introducing people to new topics, which was fantastic. And I loved it. But now I was personally ready to change and go deeper with people, help people at a deeper level. I go through some really, serious stuff with people. And just today I had somebody say, "Wow, I feel like I really opened up myself to you. And this is all confidential, right?" And I'm like, of course, it really is. And it's amazing to be able to connect with people at such a deep level and help them and see what changes they make in your life. Like what you just said, isn't it amazing to see that within a month you have a totally different reaction once you've done the work on yourself? And I totally agree.
Reaction I had in my teens very strongly and very often. So it's not that something that just appeared. So I think your work is very, very, very important. And I'm now a bit, I ask now a question that you might not like that much, but I'm sure you're flexible enough, because becoming a hypnotherapist is right now pretty trendy. And I know a lot of people doing it. I know some people I would never go to. I know I totally recommend you with all my heart, because otherwise you would never be my podcast. You know me good enough that I am like that. But what are you saying towards that trend? Everybody becomes a hypnotherapist and it's like, woohoo, I have to do that.
It's a good question. I think, you remember like a few years ago, there were lots of coaches.
I love you. Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of them out there, and the good ones stop there.
Yeah, you know what? It's good for the world, because it is a method. It's a method to tap into the subconscious that helps you identify where your issues come from. And the more people that can help people, the better. And we all have a different experience in life. We all have a different personality. I work very regularly with a friend of mine who's also a rapid transformational therapist, and we offer these short taster courses. And afterwards we say to the group, look, we do have separate businesses, and see who resonates with you. Sometimes people resonate with her more and go with her. Sometimes they resonate with me more and go with me. So it's important for there to be the choice. It's like the restaurants, the hairdressers out there. There's something for everyone. So I'm actually really glad that there is, because I'm not the right rapid transformational therapist for everyone. And yeah, I go to certain people for certain things. It's a good thing, I think, because it's becoming more accepted, less woo-woo. You know, still sometimes people go, oh, well, should I be scared? And I'm like, absolutely not. Because what people have seen in the past with hypnotherapy has been the stage hypnotherapy. And it's really not like that. I tell the people, no, it's not at all. Yeah, I tell the people, you're always conscious. You never lose control. You know what's going on. You can choose what to tell me and what not to. And whenever people go into uncomfortable situations, I say to them, you're not reliving it. Just imagine that you're reviewing it on a screen, because it's done. It's gone. It's the past. You're not going through it again. So there's no need for you to suffer again.
I think you're so right with the explanation. It's like watching your life movie, but the difference is at the end you have a changed feeling towards it. Mm-hmm. It's either neutral or even positive. It depends a little bit, but you know you're not stuck in it anymore, and it's really like watching a movie.
Yeah, it is. And I find also what I really realized is that people need the chance to express the emotion they felt there. Mm-hmm. You need to kind of almost say it out loud, hear it. And then they can go, okay, I've said it now. It's out. It's done. I'm not kind of bottling it all up and just building up the pressure like a little pressure cooker. And that's sometimes what happens. I don't know if you've experienced this, but sometimes if you haven't dealt with something, it's like a pressure cooker. And it's like squeezing a balloon. It kind of pops out in the most kind of weird places. And you're like, wow, where did that come from?
Yeah, that's lucky enough. Something's not happening to me anymore after I figured when I do my work on myself and it's becoming so easy. It's only the first step that has to trigger me, or not me anymore, but a lot of people had to be triggered so hardly, like this balloon under pressure, that they start to do something. When you've done it once, I see it as a very easygoing thing. I mean, I'm super relaxed. If there's a topic, I'm like, let's do it. And I think it's the first step. I always say it's the first step over the cliff. And then when you did it, you realize instead of falling down, that an eagle is coming and you can ride on it and look through your whole life and make it so much easier. That's my picture. I know everybody has a different picture, but I love it.
I totally agree with you. And I think you put it in a really good way, because often many of us, and myself included, have that rock bottom feeling before we start working on ourselves. And once we realize that it's actually pretty good and very effective to continue working on yourself, and that's where life just becomes easier, doesn't it?
Totally. I mean, like, I sometimes, the hardest for me is to see when people aren't starting, because I know how easy it is.
Yeah.
And actually, one of my teachers said once, when a girl, I remember, she was like, is this never going to end, this personal growth? And she said, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is no, personal growth will never end until the moment you pass. But the good news, it's going to be much easier every time it's, you get triggered. It's going to be more in the flow. It's going to be like a walk through your life. And you were like, yeah, right. But
absolutely. Right. I totally agree with you. Like just this morning, I posed a question in my head, and on my run, I was able to get some answers. And I was like, great. And like maybe if I'd done this years ago, it would have taken me months and months and months to get an answer. So it's great.
I love this. Oh, whoa, that's the answer moments. That's most of the time when I'm driving into town and I'm like, oh, I'm having a traffic jam, so who cares? Because why should I be any nervous? And then usually when I drive into it and get slower, all of a sudden it pops in like, well, that's the answer.
It's nice, isn't it, when you have those moments of clarity or those little aha moments. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. I totally love it. And unfortunately, people can't see your face in a podcast, but if they would see it, they would see how you're glowing, how happy you are, and how you love what you do. And I had the pleasure to be part of the same mastermind like you. So I know that letting go curious courses was like a really hard decision. But as you know, I'm a very honest person. You look better without them in the meantime.
Well, thank you. And you know what? I feel good too. I was thinking about it for quite a while and it was really on my mind. And I think I told you the story, but let me share it just quickly now. And I wanted to do both businesses. That's my honest answer. I did want to do both and I tried. And, you know, when you go to the talks that make sense to you at the time. And I went to a talk where a lady had two businesses and she had told her story where she had said every time she worked on one business, the other one would suffer and vice versa. Yeah. And she really focused. So she decided on one of them. And it was a big decision for her. And I knew exactly what she meant. But by focusing, she had a lot more space. And she was able to really go a lot deeper, go in more seriously, commit to it. And she had results for it. And I could see my own patterns as well. And I noticed that every time I spent time on curious courses, my new business would suffer and vice versa. And it was when I was going home to help my parents in the UK, they opened a new Chinese takeaway. And they're in their late 60s and my dad's 70. They've tried to retire a few times and it just doesn't suit them. It really doesn't suit them. They get bored. So anyway, to cut a long story short, I was helping them open the takeaway, and the first week is normally the craziest because you need to get the processes in place. Everything's a bit mad. We don't know what we're doing, although they have a lot of experience. It's a new shop. And I had my little boy with me who's 3.5. And combine kind of businesses and helping parents and looking after little one. And I think it was at like 1 a.m. in the morning, I suddenly came to the conclusion something's got to give. I love all the things I do, but I currently at the moment, I just don't have the space to do it all. And at that point, it became really clear for me that, I've given a good amount of time to curious courses. I worked with it for 8 years and I love it. I still love the concept. Yet it was also difficult to find a sustainable business model. So at that point I thought, okay, you've done your very best. You've tried a lot of different things. Now give your new business a chance. So I came back from that trip and very quickly said, okay, scheduled my last course for July of this year. And it was June. And then I had a goodbye party in July. And I was really glad I did that. A goodbye party was a good thing to do, to thank everyone who has helped me over the years. A lot of my friends have helped me. I've had fantastic relationships with speakers and with people who have attended the course. So it's a good way to kind of round it off. And then I took August off, and come September, I could really focus and start raising awareness for my new business.
Cool. I could listen to you for hours. I'm like, yeah, made a decision, started something new. And I know it's hard to let go of something you started with. I had that at the beginning of my business, that I had one part that I loved and people loved me to do it. But I was like, I love it, but somehow it keeps me stuck from what I really want to do. And I had to kind of put it away. And some people know I'm still doing it under the table. So if they know that I'm doing it, they ask for it, I'll do it. But otherwise, no. So I really love what you do. And now I'm just curious. You said with your friend you're making these mini sneak peek courses, as far as I understood. Are they online or offline?
They're offline at the moment. They're offline. They're in Zurich. They're at lunchtime, an hour and a half, and we pick different topics. And so, for example, we're coming up with confidence, selling your services, procrastination, networking, public speaking, just helping you to see what's going on. It's really a sneak peek because we guide people into 3 scenes so they can see where it comes from, and we create an audio recording. The difference between having a personal session and this one is that we don't go into depth with each scene.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it allows people just to see what's going on, and then we change things for them. That's what I do with my friend. We offer them once a month in Zurich.
Okay, and you yourself, are you working only offline or online and offline? Because I know that it totally works online as well.
Yeah, when I first started, I was working offline, and I knew that it worked online because I've done many, many sessions with people in London, Portugal, all over the place. And I came to a business decision recently to do it online. There was a number of reasons to do it, and I'm really happy to do it because it's just as effective. It's exactly the same. It feels the same. I know a lot of people think, oh, it's nicer to meet in person, and yeah, it is. But I noticed that it was just more efficient. And now I can just find a 2-hour slot with somebody and say, when are you available? They're in the comfort of their own home. They don't need to travel anywhere. I don't need to travel anywhere. And within 2 hours, you can then go and relax. So I just found it a lot more efficient for both of us. And that's why I made a business decision to say, okay, let's do this online.
Cool. I love it because I think, as I said before, the world needs you. And as I know you, I know I'm saying it because I really mean it. Otherwise, it ain't going to happen. We make sure that your contact, your homepage is underneath that podcast in my homepage. So they can find you all over the world.
Oh, thank you.
You're most welcome. Online is the cool thing all over the world. Yeah. Even I had to find out certain countries that are not yet that connected, which is also healthy to find out. But that's a complete different topic. We are at the end of the interview. I really look forward to have you as a guest again, hopefully next year. Because you are always on the run. Something going on, good, very good, positive. Sun keeps shining looking at you. So thank you very much for being my guest, Selina.
Thank you for having me again, Angela. It's wonderful what you do. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Are you ready for reignition? Yes? Then go to angelahack.com, podcast and English, sign up for the freebie, and also don't forget to check out Selina. Thank you for listening to Reignite Your Intuition. Do you like my podcast? Yes? Awesome! Why don't you just sign up to make sure that you get it every week? And by the way, if you like something, why not talking about the good stuff instead of the bad stuff? Let's tell others how great it is to listen to my podcast. I wish you an intuitive day. Bye-bye.